that's the problem with localization. For those of you guys who are, want to know how it all works, and I've been meaning to explain this in an upcoming interview, but I'll explain a little bit here. I got a little time. So, the ideal way for me to have come up with this voice would be that Toei contacts Funimation. It's never been dubbed before, and they say, we want to do Dragon Ball. And Funimation goes, great. Then Toei sends Akira Toriyama and an envoy to Texas, and they sit down and we have a discussion. And then during the casting process, the Japanese guests and Akira Toriyama, and Funimation all decide, and we do it, and they explain the characters, and they do it in this way, and we really know what we're doing, and everything, and they get the script exact, and everything's perfect. That's the ideal scenario, which does happen sometimes on certain anime these days, on some shows nowadays. But this is in the early days of mass dubbing, and I don't even think Toei or Funimation or anybody knew it was going to be a hit. And there's only a certain amount of there's money, time, and energy. And so, they just say they'll find a license or a business deal's made, then they'll say, get it done. And that guy calls a guy he knows, he goes, we're gonna do this show. And in this case, it was a guy who was a former real estate agent or whatever, and he's like, I can produce this, and they're just kind of winging it by the seat of their pants. Now, what happened for me in this voice is that they were recording in Canada, and Ian Corlett did it first, and then Peter Klaus did it, both fine actors, and then they came to Texas and then put me in a booth when we had the audition, and they said, here's 12 different voices we want you to audition for, copy this, because we're trying to keep it consistent because we're moving from Canada to Texas. And so, I was always good at copying voices, so I'm like, this will be easy, piece of cake, I thought I'd get Yamcha too. I thought I'd get that, but I didn't get that.
Really missing out.
Missing out there. So, and of course, anytime you copy a voice, this is one of the techniques a lot of voice actors use. If you copy a voice, if I do a bad impression of Chris, and you can't really tell it's Chris, well, that's a new voice I can use on some other low-voiced character.
Yep.
My Dan Green is a friend of mine, a very fine voice actor, the voice of Yu-Gi-Oh! And my voice on Minamaru is my impression of Dan Green doing Yu-Gi-Oh! So it doesn't sound like Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I can't do a Yu-Gi-Oh! Impression, but I'm thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And his deep tones, and that became a Minamaru on Shaman King. But it doesn't sound like Dan Green because I'm not good at that impression, but it sent me in the right direction.
That is now canon in my head forever when I see that.
So that's how I did that, right? So with this, when I got the part, I told our producer, I was like, give me tapes of Dragon Ball. I want to make sure this sounds right. For this reason, I wasn't trying to necessarily steal a voice from those actors. I was trying to, at least if they were going to replace the whole cast, that they could, because they would have a consistent sounding voice throughout the whole thing, because I knew we were taking over and I didn't know we were going to go back and redub everything. So when you hear me first, I'm mimicking the diction and the way they've interpreted the character for that style. And then as time goes on, just like with The Simpsons, if you listen to season 1 Simpsons, it sounds nothing like today. I'm gonna settle into my own version of it. So that really occurred in the most strongest point when we got to the Super Saiyan transformation for the first time. They didn't even know I could yell like that. They were scared I couldn't. They were really concerned how I was gonna do the scene. Luckily, I was really good at yelling because I am a very angry Buddhist. And that's why I converted, because I had so many anger issues growing up. So, and there was a lot of yelling in the house with me and my mom. So I got really good at yelling, growing up. And so that day, I remember that day when we did the Super Saiyan transformation. He looks at Frieza and it's just done. I'm like, all right, I'm done studying the previous actors. This is mine now. I've got this, And then from there, it was evolved, and for Kai, I wanted to relax the voice a little bit. I felt like I was still I'm a natural baritone. I think Ian and Peter are natural tenors, I'm not sure. So I wanted to relax a little more, not necessarily get lower, but not tightening it up as much. And so where it sounds on Super right now, and then for Kai is where I've always kind of wanted it. And that's probably where I'm gonna keep it, although I do shift it for different forms for God Mode and Super Saiyan 2 and 3, just to kind of denote how the face changes, and to kind of understand how the power is coursing through Goku's body differently, etc., and how his attitude changes when he's in different forms, such as God Mode. So all those things I'm thinking about when I'm working on it. But yeah, that's how the voice evolved from taking over from another cast, which is not ideal. Even King Kai, which I believe was Terry Clausen originally, to me that sounded like Buddy Hackett. For those of you who are older know who Buddy Hackett's an old school comedian. And then I went to Buddy Hackett's website after I got the part, and I thought, God, that sounds like King Kai telling a bunch of dirty jokes. Because it was pretty R-rated stuff. And if he talks like this, it sounds like Buddy Hackett, right? Yeah. And that's what I thought he sounded like, and so then I did that. And that's just become evolved into that King Kai voice I do, which I think works very well. It all works. It's all settled into what I think is a beautiful ensemble, especially with the addition of Chris Ayers and Monica Rial, Jason Douglas and Ian and Sinclair. It's that color palette to me is just just a great group. Not to mention the rest of the cast, but that great group of actors is just how I feel like Dragon Ball Super, and I'm so proud of it as a dub, stands up in terms, and we owe this to Toya especially, because I noticed that the pacing and the storyboarding and the animation style and the quality can now stand up really, next to American cartoons in a lot of ways in terms of how, I'm talking like stylistically, like, it's still anime obviously, but it's, there's no long panning for days, the scenes happen faster.
We own one cell, we have to use it.
Yeah, and it's speaking to more audiences, and so why people who are not into anime are watching Dragon Ball, and the way we record it and our style and the way we sound is I think really left an indelible mark on it, and so I consider it my life's work regardless of what, even if I were lucky enough to be some kind of crazy famous on-camera actor, I would still consider this the proudest thing I've ever done in my career.
Well, it's an amazing, amazing thing.
Well, thank you. I'm very, very happy about it. I appreciate it, man.
Excellent.
Any more